Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Table Takes. I am your host today, Noir. I go by Hebe, and we've got a spectacular show for you today. But first, let's check out what our hosts have been up to this week. Let's start with you, Bonsai. What have you been up to this week?
Allergies. That's what's been going on. Spring is in the air, and it's just plants are attacking me for no good reason. So that's why I'm if every now and then you see a hanky go up to my nose, that's the reason why. But other than that, I've been honestly just enjoying the weather, being outside, getting that vitamin D, all that good jazz.
Well, I'll have you know that I've talked to the plants, and it's not for no reason. You know what you did. But but if we want to know what some of our other hosts did, we're gonna have to ask them. So, Peter, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I'm getting a lot of D&D in this week. D&D legend Tim Kask, who was working at TSR back in the day, is out visiting Seattle. He's staying over at Stefan Picorni's place, and I went over there last night and we played D&D. Stefan was DMing, and of course he had a whole big Dwarven Forge set up, and
Oh,
we sat around and then we went out to dinner. Just had a really nice time. And he's coming over here after the show today, so we're gonna play some board games, I think, today.
all right. Well, we'll have to make sure that this episode is snappy so you can get to it. Also, I want to see a picture of the Dwarven Forge set if I could. I love that stuff. And next we've got Javia. Javia, how you been this week, buddy?
I've been good. I'm a little sore. Last weekend, I went out and I played spike ball for the first time. It's not what it sounds like. We're not playing a game where there's a ball covered in spikes,
Okay.
and we're like smacking it back and forth. Anything. There's a trampoline, and much like in volleyball, you spike the ball onto the trampoline to an opponent who has to try to volley it back onto the trampoline. It's really fun, but you end up crouching a lot.
So
So yeah.
it's volleyball on trampolines, and there's not really volleying, it's just all spikes.
No, see, you can like bump set to each other and then
Okay.
spike it. And when it's just two people, you tend to end up just bumping it to yourself and then yeah, jumping like super high up in the air to spike it down. But most of the time you end up missing the trampoline. So that's the skill part of it.
That sounds like a nightmare, but I can see why you're sore. I'm glad you're safe though, buddy. And look, for me, I haven't been up to much. Why are you asking? Get out my business. You're so
Oh,
nosy.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Really, I haven't been up to much. I've got a friend who has a wedding coming up, so I'm just gonna go to that, and that'll be it. But you know what? That's not interesting. You know what is interesting though? These headlines that we got coming up, and we're starting strong, with some Gen Con news coming from Peter. So let's hear it.
That's right. This feature comes from us. Gen Con TV is proud to announce a new Twitch series celebrating 50 years of Dungeons and Dragons. This series will run for 6 weeks, starting on Saturday, May 11th, and each successive Saturday through June 15th. Shows will air at 10 a.m. Pacific time right here on twitch.tv/GenConTV. Each episode will feature one of the 6 editions of Dungeons and Dragons. No, I don't mean to include whatever edition is next after 5th, but I do mean to include original Dungeons and Dragons, commonly referred to as OD&D or Zero D&D. Fortunately, us geeks understand zero-based numbering system. I mean, this all makes perfect sense. Each episode will begin with a roundtable discussion about that edition. What was it like to play in that era? What were the design goals of that edition? What were its innovation? What made it cool? What was exciting? These discussions will include D&D designers, developers, historians, and avid players, and in many cases, people who actually worked on that edition of D&D. And then after the discussion, we will play a game. It'll be an actual play of that edition with the people that just talked about it. Over the course of this series, you will watch the evolution of D&D from its wargaming roots to present day. Talent lined up for this series. Okay, brace yourself. D&D historian John Peterson, Chris Pramus, founder of Green Ronin, Jeff Grubb of Forgotten Realms fame, Stefan Picorni of Dwarven Forge, the leader designer of second edition, David Zeb Cook, Alex Kammer, Steve Winter, Bill Meinhardt, Bruce Cordell, the lead designer of 3rd edition, Jonathan Tweet, Monty Cook, Sean Reynolds, the lead designer of 4th edition, Rob Heinzu, Andy Collins, Derek Gooder, yes, that Derek Gooder, lead designer of 5th edition, Mike Merles, and Rodney Thompson. And there might be some spottings of Gen Con TV personalities like Bonsai Baby, Lexi the First, and Bryce Bebop, and Eric and Erica Walborg. And me. See you there. Yes, 6 Saturday, starting May 11th, original D&D, 10 a.m. Pacific, twitch.tv/GenConTV.
Holy smokes. That sounds so awesome. Listen, I've got some questions about THACO. I still got beef with that. So I'm gonna be tuning in live to see if that's addressed. And also 3rd edition will always have a special spot in my heart. That's the edition that I started with. You guys mind if I ask you what editions did you all start with?
I
no.
also no, no, you don't. I was gonna be like, I'm 3rd edition as well. Like middle school, basically got pulled into that. And I got hooked ever since.
You, JVI?
I actually got my start with 4th edition after failing to make a character in AD&D. And back then, I remember thinking that it was still something I wasn't supposed to be doing. Like, my parents were still pretty involved in my life at that time, telling me that I was going to turn into too much of a nerd and that I would turn into one of the people who pretends they're playing a game even though they're like out in real life. And then that would be bad. So, so my experience was pretty limited. But then I jumped right into Pathfinder after that.
Okay, okay. I'm with you. I did get a little trouble playing D&D myself when my grandma found out.
Mhm.
And Peter, well, I guess I can't ask you what your favorite is because you're gonna be around these folks.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I gotta be really nice. I can't say anything bad about 4E for the next 8 weeks.
so can I ask which one you've played the most?
Okay, so first question, I started with original D&D. I didn't play OD&D very long. I jumped almost immediately, like within a few months, I jumped to AD&D, and Player's Handbook or Monster Manual actually came out first. And
Hey.
played a ton of AD&D with house rules and then 3rd edition. That's the only edition where my name is in the credits. So got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, played a lot of that too. A lot of play testing for that, and I've played a fair amount of 5th edition now. So there you go.
Heck yeah. That is so cool. Well, we are gonna go from talking about all different versions of D&D, AD&D to AT&D. That's right, we're talking Adventure Time. JVR, why don't you give us the news?
Mathematical. That is a catchphrase from the titular cartoon from Cartoon Network, Adventure Time, which many of you probably heard about as it's wrapped up its Adventure Time Card Wars Reunion Anniversary Edition Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign. It might not actually have been on Kickstarter. Well, now they're hopping back on with the Adventure Time RPG. Now, if you're a big fan of Adventure Time like me, you probably already heard of the role-playing game. You heard of whispers of a new system that they're building just for Adventure Time, the Yes and system. In fact, we got teasers about how that system is going to work. Basically, it sounds exactly what it is. It's that improv system of yes and or no but or some combination of those two things, like yes but or no and. The severity of your failure or success depending on custom dice that they were developing. However, according to the source and this article by Chase Carter of Dicebreaker, we're finding out that they switched over a while ago to just focusing on a 5th edition adventure, completely scrapping the yes and system entirely. Now, I'm excited for anything Adventure Time related, but there are a lot of folks who put the word out that they wanted this to be a 5th edition adaptation, or at least that they wanted some 5th edition rule sets or adventure to play in, either while they wait for the new system to get created, or just entirely something built from the ground up to be compatible with 5th edition. And the folks over at Cryptozoic listened, and they turned it into a 5e adventure, which for some reason they're still calling Adventure Time the role-playing game for 5th edition. Even though it's not a new system, it's just a set of adventures that's going to be inside the 5th edition system with Adventure Time as the theme, and characters and monsters and setting and all of that. However, we also got a very, very sneaky update in the FAQ for the RPG's Kickstarter that just came out, where they said that the Yes and system is still in active development, which means we have 2 versions of the Adventure Time RPG to look forward to. You can check out on Kickstarter right now the full Adventure Time RPG as it stands with all of its 5e compatibility, with its core books and bestiaries and custom Adventure Time art and dice sets, and even a guide to role-playing games. But you'll have to wait for some undetermined amount of time if you want to actually play a brand new system, which I think I'm most excited for. It's probably, I wouldn't even say a cash grab, but trying again to please everyone with Adventure Time. And fans of the show will probably remember that this is just something that Cryptozoic and Cartoon Network like to do. They want to make sure everybody's happy and get something that they want. And when you get a lot of feedback like that, eventually you're going to give in and you're going to do something that you think is going to actually please everybody. But I'm really cautious because I'm not sure if this is actually going to cost a lot more money than it's worth, or if people are going to be split on deciding which ones that they want to pick up. Should I get the 5e one, or should I wait for this new one to come out? What do y'all think? Hearing all of this different confusing information, what do you make of it?
I'm confused.
Well, I can certainly understand like saying, oh, we really need to add a 5e version to anything like this. So you do this in the RPG space, why ignore the biggest market? So that part seems straightforward.
Yeah. They might just also, being like, as Peter said, being 5th edition is more like, a lot of people tend to only be in 5th edition or start out in D&D, and it's very spooky for a lot of folks to be like, I don't know if I want to dive into these independent rules and such. So that could be just the reason why they're using that, like, as a tag, like, hey, I swear, kids, this is fine, you're gonna be fine in here. Also, it might be that they're just still, because you said that they're still in the works, maybe they're still trying to figure out what system works the best for it. Adventure Time itself, if you do not remember the animes, or animation, is just a lot of stuff happening all at once. Yeah. So it would make sense that it's a little bit confusing, because there's a lot of things like which princesses have the best power, and also, hey, there's this king, Ice King, that actually destroys and makes the universe at the same time. So I don't know how to put that as a rule set,
Well, inside the Kickstarter right now, they even try to address this question. Why are you making this for 5th edition instead of making your own system like you said you're going to? And here's a direct quote from that article. They said, "We believe that the high quality design of 5th edition and its very nature are well suited to capturing the open-ended excitement and sense of wonder. They're at the core of Adventure Time. If D&D gave birth to Adventure Time, using 5th edition for Adventure Time the RPG brings everything full circle and is true to the spirit of the series." So take that with whatever grains of salt you decide. Decide now if you want to jump on this Kickstarter and hope for the best and maybe continue playing some 5th edition adventures with a little bit of a twist to it, or if you want to wait for a new system. Our producer Marcus says that he would go with the 5th edition, but me, I think I'm going to hold out and wait for this Yes and system. It just sounds really good. And honestly, ever since even since before the OSR debacle last year, I still am trying to look at new RPGs to play, because expanding my horizons and that ongoing debate of, does system matter? Are we actually supposed to just have fun narrative campaigns no matter what system we're playing? Or should we try to pick a system that really fits the rules that we're going for? I don't know if that's here or there, but I like to try.
Yeah. I like the idea that if I'm gonna partake in this Kickstarter, I don't want to be buying something that I could play right now. Like it wouldn't be too much to imagine making the Adventure Time characters with the knowledge that we have of 5e.
Mhm.
Like we might have to color it a little bit, but it's possible. If I'm gonna do the Kickstarter, I want something that I couldn't have done myself. So I think that's the new system. But thank you so much for bringing this article. That you took us through quite the adventure. And I think sometimes some people have to put their sword away and their adventure comes to an end. And I think we're gonna have a little bit of a talk about that, right, Bonsai?
Yes, indeed. Big news dropped this week in terms of WotC. So thank you to Chase Carter and also Chase Carter for Dicebreaker and Christian Hoffer at comicbooks.com for bringing us this news. WotC CEO Cynthia Williams is stepping down. So this news just dropped fresh this week. A 8K filed with the SEC this week announced that Cynthia Williams, the WotC CEO, would be resigning as of April 26th. If you're not familiar, the 8K is a form that you have to fill out and present to, like, if you are higher up in a company, just because somebody leaving a company, especially with that much responsibility and handling of everything is a big thing, and it shakes up a lot of things, and also investors would like to know, so you have to officially file those. So as of the 8K and the timing of the announcement all suggest Cynthia was really resigning unexpectedly. And this doesn't seem to have any move direct or have not a move directed by Hasbro's leadership or the board. So it's kind of like up in the air why she left. There's lots of speculations we could do afterwards. But Cynthia has presided over WotC for the last 2 years. And despite a lot of negative statements from the fans for WotC over that time, she has helped lead the growth of WotC into Hasbro's most profitable line of business, like Magic the Gathering stuff. Notably, she has presided over acquisitions of D&D Beyond, the expansion back to alternative media with the release of D&D Film and Baldur's Gate 3, and the super successful world-building push with Magic to include Lord of the Rings set, as well as some of the controversies like the OGL changes. There's no indication why Cynthia is resigning, and WotC says they have just begun their search for a successor. So this one, I don't know if you guys would find kind of odd. A lot of times when somebody steps down, at least from my understanding of big wig stuff, they give you normally a longer period of time than 2 weeks. This is just 2 weeks resigning. So that's why a lot of people are like, ooh, what's the gossip in the air? So people just don't know. Maybe it was just like, hey, I finally did what I wanted with this company. And maybe it's a health-related issue. We'll probably know in more weeks to come.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bonsai, that typically the market would expect, especially for a public company, a much longer transition period. There'd be an announcement, maybe even 6 months out. So, and certainly in the normal situation, the successor would be announced at the same time. There wouldn't be this scramble. So, it's hard to know what really happened. I mean, with a sudden departure, you don't know if it's that she got really upset about something and split, or if the company, her bosses got really upset, or maybe there's a medical issue. So yeah, you're right. This is not the typical sort of thing, but it's really dangerous to speculate because we just don't know. I certainly don't have any inside knowledge on this, and it could be a number of things.
And I think like in times like this, I jump on Wizards more than anybody, but I think right now it would behoove us to lead with empathy in this. Like, I understand that there's been a lot that has happened with Wizards in particular that has been irritating to fans and the like. And it's easy to want to scapegoat somebody, but you have to remember this is a person, and you don't send anything to them. Don't be rude to them. Let's try and go beyond our worst angels here. Let's try and be let's try to be the space that we proclaim ourselves to be.
And let's hope that whoever comes in to fill her shoes will do an excellent job.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a chance for a fresh start with Wizards, and I'm going to choose to be optimistic. Y- is there anything else anybody would like to add on to that, or shall we move right along to our next headline?
Let's go.
All right, well, from one individual stepping down from the world of wizards, we have learned that D&D for the rest of us can have a positive impact on mental health. uh Quick shout out to Milton Grip over on ICV2. An academic study published in a peer-reviewed journal found positive effects on mental health from playing Dungeons and Dragons over a period of time. Ha! Take that, Mom! Sorry, that wasn't in the article. The study with four named authors from James Cook University in Australia used four assessments of mental health and self-concepts taken before, during, and after an 8-hour session of D&D, of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign conducted by experienced dungeon masters from a local gaming club. I love that that's a thing now. Experienced dungeons masters, like we did it, y'all. Us study participants all did the same D&D module, which was developed by local DMs. 25 participants with previous D&D experience, ranging from none to a great deal of experience, took written surveys at four time points: before, mid study, post study, and 1 month after completion. The participants did 8 sessions of 1 hour per week over the 8-week period of the study. The study participants were 64% male, 32% female, and 4% non-binary/third gender. Study participants experienced significant declines in depression, stress, and anxiety, and significant increases in self-esteem, self-efficiency, belief that one is capable of performing specific behaviors when called for in challenging situations over the study period. Differences in depression, anxiety, and stress from the beginning to end period were large, as measured in the study of self-esteem and self-efficacy. Differences were in the medium to large range. While there were limitations related to the small sample size, the fact that the study did not have blinded randomized control comparisons and the limited age range of the participants, the authors concluded that the study results add to the growing evidence base for the potential use of D&D as a preventative and intervention tool for promoting well-being. So I thought this was pretty cool. I did not pick this headline specifically to just say that I was right to like everybody that told me I was playing too much D&D. But what do you all think? Do you feel a little bit more confident while you play D&D, after you play D&D? What do you think?
I mean, we've been approached by a lot of people, even interviewed here on the stream, about people who use it in educational department, in resources to help those who are inmates, those with like, that use it as a therapy tool as well. And it's just like, this is more reinforcements of things that we've been saying over the years, that role playing is good. Just sitting around talking and role playing out a scene can help. It's like, what? You mean telling stories that may push us through trauma might be beneficial to us? I'm sorry, am I being too sarcastic?
I think we're all being a little sassy with this one, because how many times have we been told, like, you're playing that game too much, you buy too many dice? Like, yeah, I was increasing my self-esteem. But what are you about to say, JV?
I was gonna say, I feel like D&D has shown me a lot about myself and how I've changed. I think it's been, excuse me, a evolution, I think. At the start, when I was getting started DMing or playing, I only wanted to play, I never wanted to GM. And then when I started GMing, I never wanted to do any work. I just wanted to improvise everything on the spot. But now, I mean, with this year and all the different, these last couple of years, with all the different ways we've been forced out of our more social aspects, I find myself having a lot of fun, actually having fun preparing for D&D. It's relaxing to have two different, split screens going on with the module that I'm taking notes on and like a YouTube video going on in the background or whatever, I
Yeah.
definitely feel like this is resonant for me when it comes to how I've experienced D&D as something that really helps me feel mentally healthy.
Heck
I
yeah.
I've often postulated that I think that DMing specifically was important for me in developing leadership skills or organizational management skills, because if you think about running a D&D campaign, which I ran a D&D game like 20 years, and uh and it was organizing these games. You have to be a planner, you have to and you also have to solve often complex social situations, players who get in
Yes.
arguments, just how do you deal with problem situations and all this sort of stuff. I think it was a training ground for running organizations.
It also helps me play out all of my control fantasies of wanting to have ultimate power over my group of friends.
Yeah, there's another article that I haven't linked to, but people are starting to put GMing on their resume. Like they're starting to put
What?
the fact that they GM games on their resume, like problems, so like everything that Peter was referring to, they're listing it as skills that they've acquired from sitting at the table. And like HR companies are just starting to accept that. So hey, that's something to think about. We went from the Satanic Panic to putting Dungeons and Dragons on the resume. I think that is quite the jump in pop culture.
Yeah.
But you know, it, we're going to talk about that leap to something else that has taken another leap in popularity, and that is Vecna. Like, what's going on with that?
Okay. Oh, noir, noir, noir. Uh, you're preempting my, you're setting me up really nicely here. I appreciate that. Wizards of the Coast has announced that Vecna, Eye of Ruin, will be released on May 21. This new Dungeons and Dragons adventure is designed for characters of levels 10 to 20 and spans multiple universes, challenging players to thwart the Lich Vecna, made famous by the Netflix show Stranger Things. Marcus, I'm going to need to have a grognard moment here. Netflix did not make Vecna famous. We, the gamers, the role players, we made Vecna famous. Vecna is one of the greatest villains in the history of Dungeons and Dragons. It first appeared in the Greyhawk campaign setting in 1976. He was a powerful wizard who became a lich, and when he was destroyed by the vampire cast bloody-handed, only his left hand and left eye were destroyed, both of which appeared as artifacts in the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide in 1979. These items captured the imaginations of D&D players and have been famous in D&D circles for at least 4 decades. Netflix only made Vecna famous to people who don't play D&D.
I, I love that. That just spiked the football. That was perfect.
Here,
Hey,
here.
hey, Peter, have you heard of the head of Vecna?
Oh yeah. I'm a fan of Jolly Blackbird's Night at the Dinner Table for sure. Yes, the head of Vecna. Yes. But let me go on. Let me return to the article. Let me finish it because we are excited about this thing coming out. It's just a Netflix comment set me off. The adventure begins in the Forgotten Realms and takes players through several other universes, including Planescape, Spelljammer, woo, Eberron, yes, Ravenloft, Dragonlance, awesome, and Greyhawk, woo. The objective is to prevent Vecna from erasing goodness. Wow, that sounds epic. Obliterating the gods and dominating all worlds. Players will join with renowned archmages to explore distant locales and endeavor to reassemble the legendary Rod of Seven Parts. Offered at $69.95, Vecna Eve of Ruin comes in both digital and physical formats. The physical edition includes a 256-page hardcover book, a double-sided poster map, and introduces over 30 new monsters. Additionally, the package features detailed dossiers on significant allies from previous D&D adventures. Pre-orders provide early digital access to the content on D&D Beyond starting May 7th at a whopping $29.99. Pre-order benefits include the digital dice set, 11 frames, 4 backdrops. Yeah, on and on and on. This looks great. This looks fun. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I noted that I think this might be the first D&D book that has an actual commercial. Like I saw it on TV while I was watching wrestling, and I'm like,
On
okay,
TV, like
yeah,
actually on TV.
on TV. I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Ooh, more signs of D&D is just becoming more mainstream. We get commercials. We're on commercials, baby. One day we're gonna be on Super Bowl commercial.
I was
It's the dream.
honestly, I was geeking out. I'm like, oh, I hate that. I'm so excited about this. And I just want to just refer back to the Grognard moment. I will 100% agree. I don't watch Stranger Things, but I don't think the guy they call Vecna in the show is like actual Vecna. I think it's just a scary guy that they were like,
Oh,
Vecna.
come on. No, they're meaning to imply it's Vecna. I mean, it's their own interpretation of Vecna, but it's
Oh,
Vecna.
okay.
I mean, it's good. Yeah, I mean, that's okay. They do whatever they want to, but they didn't make him famous. We made him famous, and Netflix leveraged our success in making this cool villain and introduced it to people who don't play D&D. But, I mean.
I might have to watch Stranger Things. No, I won't. But uh, it sounds like they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink in that Vecna Iron Road adventure. You know what? I'm interested to hear about a different kind of stew. So maybe Javion, maybe you can tell me about that.
Absolutely. Introducing the Stew Pot, Tales from a Fantasy Tavern by Evil Hat. This article comes to us from Chase Carter, but I found out about it because I backed too many Evil Hat things, and there's a Kickstarter, and they sent me an email about it. So, Stew Pot. It's all about exactly what it sounds like. You are running a fantasy tavern. This is a set of mini games that you can pop in to any RPG that you're playing if you want a little slice of life. It's all about the adventurers turning from a violent life to a more peaceful one by running a tavern together. Typically, after you've already retired and put down the sword and shield. It's all about integrating into that simple life after being so violent for so long and all of the trials and tribulations that come with trying to be more peaceful or trying to be more patient with the lonely traveler who might be sitting down at your bar while you wipe an already cleaned glass down just to give them an ear to listen to, right? The mini games are really cool. Some of them require you to use a deck of cards. Some of them make you flip a coin. But all of them integrate role playing into the atmosphere. So it's not just a couple of board games that you add into your gameplay, right? So this is a game from Takuma Okada, who's already written this and released it. Right now, you can go out and get the PDF, $15 on itch.io, where you can see all of Takuma's other mini RPGs, which are pretty fantastic, by the way. But you can also check out on Evil Hat's Kickstarter the free demo that you can just see all of the preview stuff that they want you to notice so that you will actually back the Kickstarter. It really reminds me of that time all of us played Tiny Taverns. You know, that Tiny D6 RPG where we all ran a tavern together. That was so fun. And it's also run by Evil Hat, which is really just taking something that exists and adding life to it, putting new art and everything to bring it to life. This is really cool. There's all this cool stuff that you can get right now. You don't have to wait. You can actually see if any of this is actually helpful for you just by clicking on that link in Twitch chat. I'm at an era in my life I never really thought I would be into. I used to hate gardening and farming. It's kind of all I want to do now. I'm playing Stardew Valley. I'm farming in Minecraft. I'm even picking up solo journaling RPGs about farming. And I don't know who I am or what I turned into. And people do this in real life. I Yeah, sounds made up to me. What do y'all think? Would you all play another round of running that tavern? Would you ever want to revisit that little cave
Heck,
dungeon that we did?
Yeah.
heck
that
yeah.
was
Yeah,
that was
of
like a really
course.
fun one. I honestly like this kind of game really speaks out to me. Like I said in chat, my Google Pixel knows what kind of person I am, and I got these ads as soon as that Kickstarter went live, or even a little bit before. They're like, "Hey, you like food? You like role playing games? You like coziness? Have you heard about this game?" And so it shocked me, and then I couldn't help thinking right after, like, "Ooh, I'd love to role play this." Also, when does it come out as a video game, please, so I can run it
Yeah.
as a tavern? But yes, also as a side note, Javon, just to warn you, when you hit your 30s, you're gonna be like, "Ooh, that vacuum also vacuums and mops at the same time and can suck up so much things." That's your like, you have vacuum parties. You go, "Ooh, look at that." So
Wow.
just
Amazing.
reality.
I never would have guessed.
Shut
Uh,
up,
it,
Bonsai.
not everybody has that experience in their 30s. I'm just saying. No, nah, don't worry. Don't overthink this.
Side note. If you want to play more farming games, there's a bundle on humblebundle.com right now called Down on the Farm, and you can pay what you want and get a ton of farming games that are not Minecraft. So, just saying.
Oh God, I've never played Minecraft, but I do love the idea of stew pie. It's falling into a category of game that I love, where it's a game that you can play in the middle of your campaign with your characters. I love that kind of stuff. But if we're talking about stories, boy, does Paizo have a treat for us, and I'm gonna be the one to tell you about it. Uh, Paizo announces Pathfinder War of the Immortals meta event. Quick shout out to Milton Grip over on ICV2. So, Paizo announced War of the Immortals, a Pathfinder RPG meta event that ties together rulebooks, settings, adventures, and fiction around a single storyline that includes the death of a core deity, Gorum, the god of war. So we're getting Pathfinder War of the Immortals, which is a 240-page hardcover rulebook, which will introduce mythic rules and two new classes, the Animist and Exemplar. To Pathfinder Second Edition, the storyline explores the death of Gorum and the God's Reign, a shower of his blood, shattered armor, and divine essence that falls on Glorion and every world where he was worshipped, leaving war and mythic power behind. Next, we've got Pathfinder Lost Omens, Divine Mysteries, a hardcover setting book, the new guide to all things holy and unholy in Glorion. It remasters current Pathfinder deities in the settings, as well as introducing new gods Aleph, God of Darkness, and Nin, God of Vampires. Player options for the new Divine Landscapes are introduced, including the Riverthun Emissary and the Paladin Detective. That's going to come out November 2024 at $79.99. Next, we've got Pathfinder Adventure Pray for Death. It's a standalone adventure in a new format, a 128-page hardcover. In this adventure for 14th level characters written by Vanessa Hoskins, players take on the role of Red Mantis assassins, who are members of the guild and cult of Achekik, the Mantis god, and its release is planned for Gen Con at $44.99. Also, we've got Pathfinder Adventure Path, Curtain Call. The 40th Pathfinder Adventure Path can be played after any previous campaign. Any characters from 11th to 20th level work to produce an opera based on past exploits with a storyline that shows the God's reign and its impact on Glorian. The three 29.99 volumes planned for release monthly beginning at Gen Con are Pathfinder Adventure Path 204, Stage Fright, Pathfinder Adventure Path 205, Singer Stalker Skin Saw Man, and Pathfinder Adventure Path 206, Bring the House Down. And we also have Pathfinder Adventure Path Triumph of the Tusk. For 3rd to 11th level characters. Players will fight alongside the orcs of Belzin in a global conflict. 3 monthly volumes are coming out at $29.99. And finally, we have Pathfinder God's Reign, a hardcover novel by Leanne Mercio, which will follow the wizard Ezrin, the barbarian Amory, the cleric Kyra, and her wife, the rogue Marcel, as they see the effect of the God's Reign and the mythic power it ordains. The jacket is illustrated by Micro Paganisi, and the price is $29.99, and its release is November 2024. Paizo also announced that it's kicking off a playtest on April 29th for 2 new classes, the Guardian and the Commander, which will be featured in the rulebook planned for 2025. So if my calculations are correct, that's 6 new classes that we're getting in this event.
Wow.
Oh, that is a lot. That's like a lot of slices. This is a lot of slice announcement. This is a whole cake they're
I'm
gonna be putting on
so
our plate.
stoked. This is awesome. But yeah, what do you guys think about? I love having a major event that brings out so much new content and a storyline that everybody can participate in if they want to or not. This is awesome.
Now, hopefully we could like if we can schedule it, we can get into a session or two. But I already know Noir where you're beelining to and what your bag of holding is going to be filled with when we come around next Gen Con. I'm just like, hey, all right, it looks like you got like 50 plus pounds in your bag right there.
Paizo noticed me, senpai.
We've got all this news about like what we're looking forward to seeing in Gen Con already. Like we still have like what 4 months left. Gosh, I mean, I'm a little shaky. I can't wait. I'm too excited.
Holy smokes. I listen, I only took some notes on that headline. I didn't know so much of it was coming out at Gen Con. I'm about to be broke. But uh we don't need to talk about how I'm gonna be broke. What we need to talk about is what everybody who plays tabletop should fear, and that's getting Jumanji'd. Bonsai, why don't you bring us into this concept?
All right. So, if you guys don't know, this game, movie Robin Williams was in, called Jumanji, where somebody gets sucked in, and then people have to play the game until it's ending while a lot of disaster happens. Well, SNL just released a skit not too long ago about somebody who has had a fear of being Jumanji'd into a board game. So it made me think of the question, since we're all board gamers here, and we play video games and all kinds of stuff, like, if you had to really sit down and think about all the games that you had in your like compartment, SNL used the example of Ticket to Ride, but we can think of so many other games. What would be like individually? Let's start off with the first question. What's the last board game you played? And if you want to, you can include role-playing games as well into this. But what was the last game you played, and would you survived if you got Jumanji'd into it?
Okay, the first game that I played, or the last game that I played rather, was Pirate Borg. No, I would not survive. The last board game I played was Return to Dark Tower, and no, I would not survive. So there's that.
The last game I played was Wilder Feast. It's an RPG about heroes going to put down frenzied, diseased monsters and then cooking and eating them. It was amazing. I would absolutely love to be a Wilder with these huge, like, cooking utensil weapons and stuff. I don't know if I'd survive, but I would definitely have a good time, I think. We started in a tavern, so at least that part I'd be all right with.
All right.
Last game I played was Machikoro, which is like this cute little Japanese card. I don't know if it's Japanese. I shouldn't say that. I thought it was, but it's
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it is Japanese. Yeah. So and it's a card game. It's kind of like space based. It is you roll dice to go around and you're building your town. And so that would be kind of safe to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Okay.
Japanese, so I would have to learn.
Oh
I
yeah,
think it
but
would be.
I think City Builder would be the exact opposite of something I would want to be Jumanji'd in. That sounds horrible. That's like way worse than real life.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. I feel like for me, I think I'd survive in both. Well, maybe not in both scenarios, because the RPG I last played was a Star Wars, and I'd be a Jawa, which is okay. Jawas, you never see Jawas really die; they just scuttle off. So maybe I'll be fine. I'd just be a Jawa for the rest of my life. And then the other one was Ark Nova, so I just build a zoo. I like animals. I mean, as long as like there's not like at least in the premise of Ark Nova, there's no animals that come out or gorillas that like snatch people and then have to be put down or anything like that. But I think yeah, you guys just play really, really hardcore games, and I'm like, I have my effort down. I got my soup game. I got my sushi go. Yeah, it's good.
Bonsai, there's an entire episode of The Mandalorians where the Jawas get
Ooh.
decimated.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I haven't seen the episode yet.
Oh, okay. I was about to be like, they just kind of scuttle away. No, they don't.
Well, besides
But-
what Disney is making, why are they killing Jawas? What did we ever do to them? Gosh.
But you got to think, the worst board game to be Jumanji'd into has got to be Terraforming Mars. I mean,
Oh,
Yeah. It's the horror of the vacuum of space combined with the horror of capitalism.
Okay,
and just
so
how long it'll take too. You're
I
gonna be
mean-
Oh,
stuck
God.
there for thousands of years before they finally we have oxygen. Woohoo.
That's
If
a huge
you-
fear of mine is actually that I'll die before I'll actually see us like go out into space and like, make it like a huge moon colony or something.
if you're going in by yourself, I think Terraforming Mars is the worst one. If you're going in with people, diplomacy.
Ooh.
Diplomacy. Listen, I cannot tell you how much that game makes you hate everybody you play with.
Mm. No.
And the early 1900s was not a pleasant time to be.
No,
No.
oh, it's bad. It's just war forever and lies.
You know what I want to do? I want to do Spirit Island, but only if I get to be one of the gods who's like causing huge tsunamis over colonialists.
All right. I was gonna say, man, why are you guys all choosing these like really? I'm like food games. You guys, there's so many. I just have a lot of food board games. Uh, that's all. I guess that's what they found out about me. All I have is food board games, and so I'm fine. I think it's the most is like the vampire, like Find Dracula, the board game probably would be pretty bad because Dracula's minions everywhere.
So if we're talking about what game we want to be in, I looked through all my collection and I decided Merchant of Venus because nobody dies in that game. You just go around exploring and finding new in your own spaceship. You got your own spaceship and you're flying around and you're buying and selling goods and discovering different planets. That sounds pretty fun.
I was just thinking, though, this isn't the one that I want to be in, but it's the one that I'm prepared to be in, which is Monopoly, because I'm broke already. But at least I might have a chance if I get you monkeyed into Monopoly. All right, so that brings us to our the end of the headlines, and you know what that means. Well, normally it would mean bundle bust, but you're wrong today. That's right. I feel like we had a good conversation about board games and which ones we want to be in, and I just want to judge some more. So we're gonna go to crowdfunder court.
Yeah.
Welcome to Crowdfunder Court. Here come the judges. Prepare to be judged. All right, court is now in session.
I got it right this time. We had a couple of false starts, but you didn't know that. We've got some great crowdfunders for you all today, and we're starting off strong with Javion presenting his case. So please, Javion, the stage is yours.
Stage?
Why, thank you.
The floor, I mean. I don't court.
Yes, thank you. Judge, jury, executioner, may I present an entire board game library?
Ooh.
Yeah. What about an entire board game library that fits in your pocket?
Mm.
That's right. It's Game Lib. It's not what it sounds like. It's just short for library. It's a whole Kickstarter where you can pay what you want. I did. I paid $3 whole, and I'm gonna get a whole library. Um, it's a tiny box and it's got a ton of stuff. Cards, cubes, dice, a couple of meeples. Why? So you can play up to 52. That's right, 52. That's over 50 for those counting at home. Different board games that you can play, but not yet. Not when you get the cards and the dice, not when you get them. No, you'll have to wait until November when they start releasing the rules on how to use all of their components to play all these different games. That's 52 weeks. That's a whole year, one game every single week. So you can follow along as you are slowly piecemeal given the keys to playing different board games. Like all the regular card games you could probably guess or figure out how to play, like Solitaire or Go Fish. But what about Go, Snakes and Ladders, Checkers? It's got games I can't even pronounce, but I can pronounce where they're from. Iceland, Ghana, Russia, Korea. Check out the link in chat. It ends on May 9th, so you got plenty of time. But if you ask me, it's hard to pass up an offer for a whole game library because the apocalypse could be happening anytime now. And you can't take your whole 400 plus board game collection with you. So this is the perfect opportunity. Check it out.
Can I play Helldivers with this?
You'll have to wait until that rule set gets released next year. I'm sorry.
No, I like it. This is certainly interesting. I can't wait for the follow-up. I want to hear more about this. I like it. Great presentation, Javion. You keep your head. Next, we have Bonsai Baby.
Hello, yes, I bring to you Snowcrest. If you like tableau building games along with fluffy animals and are into snowy landscapes of Tibet, this is the game for you. Snowcrest is a 1 to 4 player tableau building game where each player tries to build a Tibetan style village. It's basically, if you like Everdell, you'll probably like this game. I have a lot of Everdell, just to let everybody know. But each player places and activates villages cards on their village grid to slowly build up. It's pretty cool. It's a 3x3 grid that you have to use. And once you use a villager, you have to flip it. And the only way to refresh that particular villager for that resource is to get 3 villagers in a row to then flip it over. Then it's basically you have to think about, okay, how am I going to activate each villager, and also how am I going to get the best bang for my buck before I flip them over, or which way I can flip them to make it so I can get more and more and more activation points. But it actually, other than that, it's a beautiful game. Likes really cozy animals and everything like that. And for a tableau builder, it's surprisingly cheap. This game, when translated to US currency, is about $24. But keep in mind that this is an Australian-based game, so maybe the import of the game might get you in return, just to put that as a note. But it looks really, really cute, and I like the style. I like tableau building, and if you hate Everdell and that stuff, too bad. Fluffy animals. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, this is a interesting presentation you've given. I'll allow you to keep your head.
Oh, thank goodness. I really like bonsai.
Now I shall present, and if I don't like my own presentation, I'll take my own head.
Just like the head of Vecna.
Oh,
Hey, there it is. So we have Mechborg and Still Som. What is it? Well, it's a Morkborg compatible tabletop role-playing game featuring mech knights. That's right. You like giant robots? You like giant robots fighting each other? You like easy, accessible games that have simple rules and really easy to jump into? Then back this And you get a free enamel pin for being an early backer, so that's cool too. There's what's included in this is a 200 plus pages of individually designed mech punk pages spread over 2 hardcover books, Dying Universe campaign settings, rules for custom mechs, 22 pre-built mechs, 11 mech weapons, 8 mech mods, 6 pilot classes, 4 mighty hegemonic factions, contract generation table, introductory scenario for Mechborg, and 10-part campaign for Steel Psalms. This is everything that you need to play the game that your little Gundam Wing heart has been desiring since you watched Death Sight, the best Gundam on the TV screen during Toonami when you were 13. I'm talking to one person in particular.
Chibi.
Me. Oh, right now their goal is $8,040. $8,040. It was their goal. And they have crushed it as though piloting a giant mech and stepping on a tiny car. Because they are currently at $124,988. There's 1,576 backers and 26 days to go. Who doesn't like giant robots? Nobody. Everybody loves giant. You love giant robots. You just don't know it yet. Oh, and the most fun part about this is that it is compatible with all things Morkborg. So if you are playing a game of Pirate Borg and you're like, I want my pirate to leave their little dingy ship and find a giant robot, well, gosh darn it, they can. And so yeah, that is my presentation. I'm gonna judge it fairly. It was fantastic. I shall keep my head. But that's
Thanks.
not that's not all. Well, you know what? That is all. That's all you get for today. We spoiled you with all the awesomeness that you've seen here today. And so we are gonna prepare to wind down. And I think there's only one person who can really take this home. That's gonna be you, Peter. Bring us home.
Big breath. And thus concludes another news-packed and personally insightful episode, if I might say so, of Table Takes. But please don't go far, because in just a couple hours we have Sarah's Table, where the players will have a cozy cuppa at the last tea shop, where souls have one last libation before entering the land of the dead. Yep, that's today, 5 p.m. Pacific on Sarah's Table. Joyful gaming, it sounds like to me. On Monday, I will play Civ 6 on Peter vs. Machine at 9 a.m. Pacific, and then we have Dress to Crest at 6 p.m. Pacific. On Tuesday, it's Vampire the Masquerade with Indie by Night at 7 p.m. Pacific. On Wednesday, we have Miniature Painting with Path of the Brush at 4 p.m. Pacific, and then Actoroki at 6 p.m. Pacific with the return of Mike Boozer. Thursday morning at 10 a.m., we have Blood on the Clock Tower, our great social deduction and social deception game. And then join us at 5 p.m. for some Shadowrun from Roll with Rem Alternus. And then Friday at 2 p.m., you already know what's going to happen Friday at 2 p.m. We're going to be back here on Table Takes. Thank you to the Gen Con TV crew, Marcus Mays, Steve Connor, Sarah Moore, Tanel Levitt, and Danny Kennedy. Thanks to my delightful co-host, Javion, Bonsai Baby, and the Noir Enigma, and thanks most of all to you for watching and hanging out with us in chat. Remember, follow Gen Con TV, and I mean press the follow button, please, for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long, right here on twitch.tv/GenConTV. That's it. Goodbye.
Bye.